Welcome to JLive. I'm JArt's Executive Director, Laura Mandel, and it's great to be here with all of you for JLive. This is our series of new virtual cultural experiences that bring us together to explore and celebrate the diverse world of Jewish art, culture, and creative expression. We're bringing you bite-sized conversations with the best Boston area talent. Today, I'm delighted to welcome a woman who, for many of us, needs no introduction. Annette Miller has performed on and off Broadway, in film and TV, and has been a leading actor at Shakespeare and Co in Lenox for 20 seasons. There's a reason Annette received the prestigious 2018 Berkshire Theatre Critics Association Award for Outstanding Actress in a Leading Role. Today, which happens to be Yom Yerushalayim, Jerusalem Day, I'm especially excited to be with Annette as she performs a scene from a show you may know and love, Golda's Balcony, a perfect show for the moment. Written by William Gibson and directed by Danny Gadrone, Annette actually originated the role of Golda Meir in Golda's Balcony, and she won the Elliot Norton Award for Best Actress in the role. Following the scene, Annette will tell us a bit about the backstory of the play, and then we'll have time for Q&A as well. If you have questions during the performance, please share them in the Q&A section that you'll see at the bottom of your screen. And at the end, I'll ask as many questions as time allows. Without further ado, I present Annette Miller as Golda Meir.
Our declaration said, with trust in the Rock of Israel, and already we couldn't agree. The rabbis demanded we say God, and the left wouldn't agree to a God they didn't believe in. Ben-Gurion spent half the afternoon convincing everyone that the rock meant God or the people, and was waiting to rush the scroll to the bank vault so it would last, even if we didn't. From my window, I saw 4 Egyptian Spitfires zoom in to bomb Tel Aviv. And our courier in Washington couldn't deliver it until we at least had a name for the state. Judea, Zion, Israel, and then Ben-Gurion read out the declaration very flatly until he came to the state shall be open to the ingathering of exiles. The absolute core of what we had worked for all this century. And my turn to sign, someone behind me said, "Golda, why are you crying? But if not then, when?" And so, that is how, after 2,000 years of exile, we brought our country, our state, back into being. From my window, on my balcony, I had a view of the Mediterranean and the ships arriving with our exiles, the refugees and the survivors coming home. From where? Europe, of course, and Africa and Arabia. Immigrants by the hundreds and thousands. In 2 years, we doubled our population. What did Israel mean to them? I knew from Moscow. When I left Russia, there was still a Tsar, and Jews weren't allowed in Moscow. As ambassador, I came back with 25, my legation. There were thousands of Jews in Moscow, but how to see them after 40 years, I didn't know where to begin. Zionism was a political crime against the state. Offenders were thrown into Stalin's prison camps. Even relatives we were afraid to contact for their sake. My remnant of a family had all disappeared in the war. in the Moscow synagogue. Only a handful of shabby old Jews would still come. So, on Rosh Hashanah, I said the whole legation should go. And we notified the rabbi. The word spread. And that day, we were mobbed by 50,000 Jews, old men and women, teenagers, Red Army soldiers, mothers with babies stretching out arms calling Golda, Golda, Lebenshaus du, Golda. And when our rabbi saw the military attaché with a Star of David in his soldier's cap, he shrieked. And to those thousands of Jews blowing me kisses, crying, grabbing a handful of my skirt, I was so shaken I couldn't think of anything to say, only one miserable sentence. Danke was ihr geblieben Jiden. Thank you for remaining Jews. A sentence that spread through the crowd, through the crowd like the word from Isaiah. There was in the crowd a 12-year-old boy, had a birthday camera, took a picture. And for weeks, Jews would come up to us on the street and say, I have the picture. I have the picture. And copies traveled everywhere. In Siberia, a girl from Vilna sent us to work in the woods, in the lumber woods, was warming a chunk of bread by the fire when she saw a man spying on her among the trees. He said, are you Jewish? And she said, yes. And out of his rags, he took the picture and said, there is a Jewish state. There is a Jewish state. And that's what Israel meant to every Jew from Yemen.
Wow. Thank you so much, Annette. I'm sure you all feel this way, that sometimes it's really hard to connect to history as such an abstract concept. And Annette, the way you put such feeling into that performance, it makes Golda and the founding of the country so relatable for me. So thank you. And such is the power of great acting and writing. Yeah, thank you. So as promised, I have some questions. So first, what I really love about this scene, as we talked about it, was the illustration of the power and importance of collective memory. And, you know, there's this line, the most simple, there is a Jewish state, and that's what Israel meant to every Jew from Yemen to Siberia. That's really powerful. So Annette, tell me, as a Jew, what do you think when you say that line?
Well, I hope what I think comes out in the way I say the line. It's sometimes the writer says it better than the actress can explain what she is feeling when she says that line. But just listening to it again, I can only imagine, and that's the actor's main tool, the imagination, as if what it must have been like then. And that is today what Israel means to every Jew from Yemen to Siberia. And I really don't know how to say it any better than that, except that having a state, and earlier in the piece I say after 2,000 years of exile, you know, for her to go to Russia, a place that she had to leave as a young girl. She was born in 1898. I think she left in 1903. And then to return, and that scene is when she returns to Moscow and is greeted by thousands of Jews. It's an amazing moment, and I think that that memory, that collective memory of Jews, is what rings out to them still today.
Absolutely. That's really powerful. So I thought this was pretty cool. You told me that Golda was actually a really important influence on your own life. Can you talk about that a little?
Well, when I was a student at Brandeis, this was before Golda was president, she came, prime minister, she came to school and spoke with us. And, you know, you have to imagine what it was like to have a woman in such a powerful position when she became prime minister in 1967. I think she was like the second known woman. There was Indira Gandhi, who had been prime minister before that. But for a young girl at college, and Golda Meir was for women of my generation what we would aspire to be. And then to have been given the script to play her was an enormous thrill for me, and also filled me with fear as well, because to step into her shoes, to imagine myself that woman, was pretty foreboding and kind of wonderful to do.
So like all good things in life, a little fear pushed you in the right direction.
Well, yeah, I mean, as long as we're not held back by our fears, and our fears motivate us, and we think about what a wonderful opportunity it was to literally step into her shoes, because in the original show, the play as it was written, she did not wear a costume, and she just steps into her shoes at the very beginning of the play and becomes Golda. And there are lines that were written that said, no wig, no swollen leg, just imagine Golda Meir tonight. And I asked the director if he would just give me a pair of shoes, and if I wore her shoes, which I thought were a real sign of her, I would get into her, and that's what I literally did. And then the director said to me, here's her bag. And so I had her bag, and I put on those shoes, and then I was Golda. And that is what William Gibson originally wrote in the script. By the time it went to Broadway, I think the Broadway producers wanted more bells and whistles. So they had her in a costume and in a fat suit and in a wig and in a false nose too. But originally, Bill did not want that in the script. So those are how things change. But it was stepping into her shoes that was kind of a wonderful feeling for me, and enabled me to give the performance.
What a beautiful image. It's just such a
pretty
simple
something.
thing. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So you started to mention William Gibson and Danny Gadrone, who directed the original show.
Yes.
But you also gave me a little bit of insight into how the final script came to be working with them. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Well, it was very exciting because I was given the script. Someone had seen a performance I did at Shakespeare and Company called Collected Stories by Donald Margulies, and happened to be having dinner with the agent who had the script, and said, gee, we have to find an actress for this. And they were giving it to a lot of Broadway people. And at the time, Bill wanted to try it out. And so I was introduced to him. He had seen my work, and I did a reading of the script in September, I think, of 9/11. And we did that reading for a group of 20 people at Shakespeare and Company, and everyone decided it was a go. And after that reading, it was in 2 acts. And I said to Bill backstage, why did you call the curtain and have an act break? And he said, well, because you couldn't stay on the stage for 2 hours straight, which I since have in another one-woman show. But at that time, he said, I said, no, but I could do it for 90 minutes. At which point he said, well, to Danny and to me, well, try it. Let's run all the cuts by me. And we worked on the script and cut the 90 minutes. And I'm very proud because it's that script, the 90-minute cut that I worked on with Danny Gadrone that went to Broadway. And it became a very powerful one-act, 90-minute play. And so that's how that happened.
I love that you have this personal connection to Golda and that you've been able to sort of pay homage to her life and story by doing that. That's so cool. That's really amazing.
It was pretty cool. And it was also interesting in terms of how the process goes on a new play, how many times, and I've done a lot of new scripts, a good playwright will have an ear to those first rehearsals and see what's working and what isn't. And the actress has a lot to say. The actors in the scene have a lot to say. Well, that doesn't feel right. That doesn't seem to be as true. Could I do this? Could I? And that's how a final script is shaped. That's why they take shows on the road before they come to Broadway. And in each city, usually, they make some little tweaks in it. So it was wonderful to be part of that process as well as an actor.
That's so interesting. We talk about the collaborative process a lot at JR,
Yes.
Especially with collaborative being in our name. So what a cool story, and to understand how the show evolved or how theater generally evolves. It's amazing.
That was pretty cool.
So, okay, so someone else picked up on this, on something that I felt pretty strongly about here. So I want to bring this question up.
Mm-hmm.
You say the line, "Why are you crying? If not then, when?" And I'm sitting here crying watching you, because it really is. I mean, the way you say it, the way it's written, I mean, it's just so real. Tell me more. What do you think? What do you feel when you say that?
I feel that way now. It's so curious, listening to it again. When you've worked for something, I mean, this woman came over, went back to Israel. I shouldn't say went back, immigrated from Russia to the United States, to Milwaukee, and left in 1921 with her husband to make Aliyah in Israel. And she worked her way up through the Labor Party and working in the kibbutz. And to reach that moment, what you had worked for all of your life, I don't think it takes much of an imagination to get there and to, in fact, have tears. So I'm feeling that way now.
Yeah, no,
but it is an achievement, and if tears aren't going to come, then when? So
it's your moment.
What it's all about.
Well, and you brought the moment to us. It's beautiful.
Thanks.
Okay, we are just about out of time, but I just wanted to go back to one thing, which is we were very intentional about scheduling this scene for today because of Yom Yerushalayim, and I know you had some thoughts here. So can you just speak a little bit to why that felt important or interesting to you?
Well, I think it was important to, Golda's story is always important, and the state of Israel and the story of the state is always important. But I thought somehow now that we should do it right now, because there's so much going on in Israel now. And, she has another line where she says, I started out with the hope of redeeming the state, the redemption of the human race, and ended up in the munitions business because she gathered money in America for the first war in 1948. And so we're at a very important, crucial point. Well, every day seems crucial in Israel, but right now a new government is coming in, and there's kinds of talk about annexation, and we're constantly in a place of reviewing what that nation is all about. And so I felt that right now was a good time to hear that original formation, the story of the formation of the state. And don't forget, this play is about the 73 war. And the history is included in it, but she was prime minister during the 73 war. And from 1967, actually, to, I think it was 74, that she was prime minister. So I felt that that was a very important story to tell, to keep telling as we redefine and who we are as a people, and why it is important to have the state and how we want that state to be. So that's why I thought it was very important right now.
Absolutely. And there's so many more sections of this play that really resonate similarly. So since we are at time, what I will say is, Annette, I think we're going to have to do another scene down the line because there's so much to unpack with this. Perfect. Yeah. So thank you all so much for being here with us, Annette. This was really, really special. I hope that if you enjoyed this and any other JLives you may have seen, you might want to know that this coming Wednesday, May 27th, we'll have a special segment of JLive with our friends at PJ Library for a multi-generational art making activity. So for all of you who are grandparents, grandchildren, or anyone else, I hope you'll join. It'll be nice to sort of work on something together. On Thursday, May 28th at 2 p.m., we have a special installment for Jewish Heritage Month with MFA Curator of Judaica, Simona Dinepi. That will just be fascinating. On Friday, May 29th at 4 p.m., we are doing a wine tasting with Jen Ziskin, one of the owners of La Mora in Brookline for JLive Food. She'll be making some Shavuot recommendations as it falls in line with the holiday. And if you want to pre-order any of the wines so that you can taste along, that will be available on our website as well. And not to leave you hanging without some art on your radar, Monday, June 1st at noon, we'll have JLive Art with Deb Putnoy, who does her drawing lab, and she's just fabulous. So last but not least, as the JArts tagline says, let culture connect us. Whether it's with Annette or any of these other great performers, to make this possible, we rely on generous community support like yours. So if you enjoy what you're seeing, please donate. We really appreciate it. And of course, to see more about all of the things I just mentioned, you can follow us at JArtsBoston on Instagram and Facebook. All events are on our website. And we look forward to seeing you again and again. So thank you, Annette. This was such a wonderful way to spend a little bit of time. Thank you.
Thank you.